I love Super Mario Odyssey as much as the next guy, but after spending this last weekend deep underground with Donkey Kong Bananza, I think it might be time to have some uncomfortable conversations. Because as great as Odyssey is, Donkey Kong Bananza is quickly on its way to surpassing it and becoming my all-time favorite 3D platformer. This game is something special and truly one of the most impressive things that Nintendo has put out in years. And in this video, I want to talk all about my time with the game thus far and explain why I think that it might just set a new high mark for the 3D platformer genre. But first, as usual, I just want to say thanks for clicking on my video. I promise we'll get into all the juicy Donkey Kong talk in just a moment. But first, I do want to say if you enjoyed the video today, please be sure to give it a like and consider hitting that subscribe button down in the corner. It might not seem like much, but each and every like and subscription really does make a huge difference and means the world to me as I continue to try to grow my channel. But enough about me, let's get down to business and talk some DK. As you might have guessed from how I started this video, up until now I've long considered Super Mario Odyssey to be my favorite 3D platformer. And to be honest, I've considered it far and away to be the greatest game that genre has ever produced. Obviously, Super Mario 64 invented the genre, so it gets massive credit for that, and the Super Mario Galaxy games are glorious achievements in their own rights. And hell, I thought that last year's Astrobot was practically a flawless game as well. So yeah, the 3D platformer genre has produced some real gems over the years, but I still have always found Odyssey to be head and shoulders above those other games. The sheer amount of charm on display in Odyssey and the joy that you get from just moving around and existing in its world is incredible. The game controls like an absolute dream. All of Mario's moves feel fantastic, and there's so much fun to be had in that game simply from running and jumping and diving from point A to point B. It's also packed to the gills with content and replayability. The amount of power moons to find is staggering, and the collectibles and various different costumes to find for Mario add even more to the amount of time you can sink into that game. 3D platformers are not typically known for their size or vast amounts of content, typically choosing to focus on controls and fun factor and assuming that many players will want to replay them multiple times. But Odyssey changed that forever when it was released in 2017. Not only was it endlessly replayable and home to the best controls that the genre had ever seen, it was also a massive game. One that you would need to sink hours upon hours into if you were ever going to complete it. It's a true best of both worlds situation, and it set a high mark for the genre that I thought might not ever be topped. And then, this past weekend happened. I have not been able to put Donkey Kong Bananza down. There are so many things that make this game special, but I think it's best to start with the most obvious and simple one. This game is damn fun to play. In terms of fun factor, it might be the most pure fun I've had with a video game in ages. Maybe ever. And perhaps we should have seen that coming. I mean, the core concept of the game is ripping things apart and smashing and destroying everything in sight. And on a basic biological level, there are few things more satisfying than that. I don't know the science behind it, but after spending a weekend with Bananza, I know that it has to be true. I'll get to the more intricate platforming stuff in a minute, but there have been plenty of times in my playthrough where I've had tons of fun just turning my brain off and smashing everything in sight. It feels awesome to watch everything crumble to dust around you and to see that gold counter tick up and up and up. If that sounds too mindless to you though, rest assured that there are also plenty of deeper platforming mechanics on display here as well. Oftentimes, you do have to be strategic with your demolition tactics, and there are plenty of more traditional platforming challenges here for DK to tackle as well. What's most impressive though, is when these two aspects of the game, unprecedented destruction and traditional platforming, come together in perfect harmony. For example, at one early point in my playthrough, there was a banana on a platform a fair distance away, and I didn't think that DK had the horizontal jumping capability to get there. But after messing around a bit, I found that I could rip a chunk of ground from the earth, hop on and surf on it, and then jump off right at the right time, throwing it downwards to give myself a double jump, and then having DK roll through the air to reach the platform. It sounds simple in execution, but it felt tremendous, and it was at that point I knew I was playing something truly special. And of course, a large part of all this is just how good DK feels to control. Again, maybe none of this should be a surprise considering this is from the team that made Super Mario Odyssey, but Donkey Kong still controls far better than I even expected him to. This is movement in a game perfected. As great as Mario feels to control in Odyssey, it feels like that was simply the beta version for how good Donkey Kong feels to control here. Everything from running to jumping to combat to smashing feels incredibly intuitive and satisfying. Climbing is also a huge part of this game, and watching DK bound up walls at breakneck speeds is awesome. I guess after playing so many hours of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I was expecting something more in line with Link's glacial pace of climbing, so the first time I jumped on a wall with DK and saw just how fast he could scale it, well, it was a welcome surprise. Truly the most important part of any 3D platformer is the feel of the game, and I think that Bananza is better than anything we've ever seen in that regard. Nintendo has always been masters of their craft here, and Donkey Kong Bananza feels like the company's crowning achievement. A platformer has never felt this great to just flat out play. Donkey Kong Bananza is phenomenal in other ways too though. For one, the game's various different worlds, called layers, are stunning. I think I'm at the point in the game where I'm approaching the final one, at least for the main story, and all of them have been incredible. Much like Odyssey, they're all drastically different from one another, but they feel even more expansive and stunning here. Early trailers mostly showed off the grassy hills and lagoon layers, and while those levels are fantastic, some of the later ones really floored me. All of them though are stuffed to the gills with secrets and are true visual treats. There have been times when I've been playing this game and the light hits just right, and I can't help but think that this is one of, if not the best looking games from Nintendo that we've ever gotten. And fortunately, there's an A+ photo mode here to take advantage of all these picturesque moments. Side note here, but can we give Nintendo credit for how much they've been crushing photo mode options in their games these last couple of years? This has never been a feature that I've cared about all that much, but games like Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Kart World, and now Donkey Kong Bananza all have such accessible and fun to use photo options that I found myself spending way more time with these features than ever before. And thanks to DK's incredibly expressive and at times hilarious facial expressions, Bananza might be the most entertaining one yet. The real surprise for me thus far though is the story. The story here is actually really good. This will be spoiler free, don't worry, as I've yet to finish the game myself, but I found myself caring far more about this story than I ever thought possible. And the biggest reason for that is the relationship between Donkey Kong and Pauline. I was as confused as anyone when the trailers for this game revealed a child Pauline partnering with DK for the adventure, but honestly, she steals the show here. She's adorable, but never annoying. The voice actress did a wonderful job bringing her to life, and I think she might be the best quote-unquote new character that Nintendo has introduced in years. The relationship between her and DK is the beating heart of the story, and it's so much more sweet and endearing than I thought it was going to be. It has a real Disney Pixar feel to it, and it's head and shoulders above the sort of story content we usually get in Nintendo platformers. Watching her and Donkey Kong interact is genuinely heartwarming, and many of their interactions throughout the game have brought a smile to my face and even some straight up laughter at times. To again bring up the Pixar comparison, it's clear that Nintendo is very much going for a Monsters Inc. Sully Boo dynamic here between the two main characters. And while that concept does run the risk of feeling derivative if not executed properly, Nintendo absolutely nails it. I think this DK young Pauline pairing is going to be a hugely popular Nintendo staple for years to come. And again, as much as I love Odyssey, you're not getting this type of dynamic with Mario and freaking Cappy. The other thing I want to highlight is just how much depth there is to this game. Sure, it's a bit jarring at first to see a skill tree in a Nintendo platformer, but man, does it really make a difference. Sorry Mario, but you're about to catch one more stray. I mean, I love that Odyssey has so many power moons to collect, but there's no denying that finding them all starts to feel like more of an obligation than a reward at a certain point. There isn't a huge incentive in that game to go after moons you don't directly need to proceed to the next world. In Bananza though, each and every banana you collect gets you one step closer to earning another skill point for DK. These skills don't drastically change your build of Donkey Kong or anything like that, but many of them do actually make significant improvements to your arsenal and give a sense of character progression that games in this genre typically lack. It's not game changing or anything, but it really is a nice addition and just gives the player even more incentive to discover everything this game has to offer. Throw in the fact that there seems to be a truly staggering amount of visual customization options to unlock for both Donkey Kong and Pauline, and you have very possibly the biggest, most content-rich 3D platformer that we've ever seen. And the best part is, it doesn't feel like content for content's sake. There really is a reason to go after everything you see. To be honest though, I think I probably would have wanted to 100% this game even without all that extra incentive, because I don't see myself wanting to quit playing anytime soon. I had high hopes for Donkey Kong Bananza, and yet it has greatly exceeded all of them. This truly feels like a brand new frontier for 3D platformers, and to be honest, I feel like going back to older genre staples such as Super Mario Odyssey might feel a bit empty after my time with Bananza. I'm not suggesting that all 3D platformers need some sort of destruction mechanic now, but that destruction in Bananza, combined with all of its other wonderful aspects, has made this game a true can't miss title. He's the leader of the bunch, you know him well, Donkey Kong is finally back, and man, what a return. Let me know your thoughts on Bananza in the comments below. Are you as head over heels for this game as I am? Or are you a little bit more lukewarm on things? And of course, as always, thanks for watching.